What are you watching?
What are you watching? Elodie, le film!
Dear listeners, gather round and lend me your ears, for I'm about to regale you with a tale of woe and disappointment, one that will make you weep for the very fabric of humanity. It's a story of a place that promised the world but delivered a dumpster fire, Amara Cay Resort, Islamorada. As I stepped foot into this supposed haven, I was immediately struck by the disconnect between the online advertisements and the harsh reality. It was like being sold a unicorn and receiving a broken toy instead. The resort reeked of false promises, a Potemkin village of broken dreams. First, the pet policy, or should I say, lack thereof? I called ahead, and they neglected to inform me that I couldn't leave my trusty service dog unattended in the room. It was as if they wanted to inconvenience me, to make me feel like a second-class citizen. The hypocrisy was staggering. We care about our guests, they claim. But in reality, they only care about lining their pockets. And then, there was the thermostat debacle. My room was a sweltering 75 degrees, with a humid and rainy climate that made me feel like I was stuck in a perpetual sauna. The thermostat was broken, and I was left to suffer in silence. It was a cruel joke, a slap in the face to anyone who's ever experienced the simplest of human needs, a comfortable temperature. But wait, there's more. The toilet didn't work, the shower flooded, and the bed springs were a hazard waiting to happen. It was as if they took all the rejected parts from a bad episode of Fixer Upper and mashed them together into a Frankenstein's monster of a room. I felt like I was sleeping on a bed of nails, wondering when the next catastrophe would strike. And don't even get me started on the upgraded room they forced upon me. I paid extra for an ocean view, but what did I get? A courtyard view, with people dining and sipping cocktails right outside my window. It was like being trapped in a never-ending nightmare, with no escape from the sounds of revelry and merriment. But what really takes the cake is the front desk staff. Rude, dismissive, and completely disconnected from the concept of customer service. It was like they were trained by the masters of apathy, with a special emphasis on ignoring complaints. When I mentioned it was my birthday, they had the audacity to tell me I should have said something earlier. As if it was my fault they failed to provide a basic level of hospitality. The tiki bar? A joke? Understocked and overpriced, with bartenders who seemed to be competing in a who can be the most disinterested contest. It was like they took all the reject craft beers from a bad brewery and served them with a side of stale pretzels. And the restaurant? A travesty. Overpriced, underseasoned, and served with a side of attitude. I felt like I was eating at a bad Applebee's, minus the charm and ambience. The menu was a laundry list of cliches, with dishes that sounded like they were concocted by a committee of accountants. But what's the underlying issue here? It's not just the incompetence, it's the systemic failure to prioritize the customer. It's a resort that's more concerned with its image than its guests, a monument to the hubris of poor management. They're so busy pretending to be a 5-star resort that they forgot to actually become one. So, dear listeners, I ask you, have you ever felt like you were scammed, like you were sold a bill of goods that didn't deliver? Have you ever felt like you were less than a person, a mere inconvenience to a faceless corporation? That's what Amara Cay Resort, Islamorada, did to me. And that's why I'm sharing my story with you today. What do you think, dear listeners? Have you had a similar experience? Share your thoughts, your horror stories, and your triumphs. Let's create a community of victims, of people who demand better, who demand to be treated like human beings. And to Amara Cay Resort, Islamorada, I say this: you may think you're a resort, but you're nothing but a cruel joke, a monument to the failures of humanity. You may think you're above the law, but I'm here to expose you, to shine a light on the dark recesses of your incompetence. So, stay tuned, dear listeners. This is just the beginning of a long, arduous journey, one that will take us down the rabbit hole of corporate greed and incompetence. And when we emerge on the other side, we'll be stronger, wiser, and the reality of businesses near Amara Cay Resort, Islamorada. If you're staying at Amara Cay Resort, dreaming of paradise, prepare for a rude awakening. The business is nearby? They're a masterclass in disappointment. Overpriced, underwhelming, and often outright hostile. This isn't the tropical fantasy you paid for. Let's start with the food. Restaurants near Amara Cay Resort have a special talent, taking simple dishes and ruining them with zero effort. Take the Trading Post. Their fried chicken? Dry enough to double as a fossil. One guest described it as mummified. And if you dare to customize your order, prepare for sarcasm from the older gentleman with glasses, who apparently despises both his job and customers. One visitor asked for a sandwich with everything, only to get a sad pile of onions. The prices? High enough to make you question if they're charging by the tear you shed when you taste the food. Then there's Ziggy and Mad Dogs, where the service is as inconsistent as Florida weather. Reservations? Meaningless. You'll wait anyway, watching understaffed chaos unfold. One couple celebrating their anniversary ordered hogfish, only to be misled about the dish. No spinach, just a $65 surprise and a side of attitude. Another family with a baby was turned away because strollers aren't allowed. Because nothing says fine dining like rejecting infants. Coffee shops? Midway Cafe and Coffee Bar serves what might be the world's most expensive disappointment. Their coffee tastes like someone whispered the word coffee over warm water. And their key lime pie? A staggering $36 for mediocrity. One guest's avocado toast arrived on stale bread with blackened avocado, because nothing says fresh like produce that's already mourning its own death. Salons and spas? Blue Bamboo Salon and Day Spa specializes in regret. Hair dye that bleeds for weeks, ruining sheets and sanity. Nail jobs so sloppy, they fall off faster than your vacation enthusiasm. And if you complain? Good luck. The owner's response is a masterclass in indifference, like watching a palm tree shrug. Bars and breweries? FloridaKeys Brewing Company is where dreams of cold beer go to die. The AC? Broken. The staff? Rude. One guest found pain in their drink. When they pointed it out, the bartender shrugged and charged them anyway. Another family was scolded for their kids playing with a toy, because nothing says relaxing brewery like a bald, tattooed man policing joy. And then there's Robbies of Islamorada, a place where wildlife exploitation meets culinary disaster. The tarpon feeding? Cute, until you see drunk tourists kicking pelicans for fun. The food? One family's tomato caprese salad sent 2 members to the hospital with food poisoning. The jet ski tour? A guide who treats novices like prisoners, speeding through storms like he's auditioning for a disaster movie. Finally, Morada Bay, where the view is beautiful, and everything else is tragic. Wait times stretch longer than the beach, food arrives cold, and the staff acts like serving you is a personal insult. One guest waited 90 minutes for a $47 margarita, not even good, and a side of misery. Another found chickens roaming the property, which at least added some life to the otherwise lifeless experience. So what's the verdict? Businesses near Amara Cay Resort are a gamble where the house always wins. Overpriced, poorly managed, and often hostile. If you must venture out, pack patience, and maybe a snack. Because in this stretch of paradise, the only thing guaranteed is disappointment. Welcome to Islamorada. Hope you brought your own joy. Soft, melancholic voice, like a sad little sigh. You know, I was just looking into scams near Amara Cay Resort, Islamorada, like, the kind of things tourists might run into if they go there for a short trip. And, it's just so depressing, you know? Like, why do people have to be like this? So, businesses near Amara Cay Resort, Islamorada. Some of them, they take your money and just don't do the thing they promised. Like, there was this window contractor, Keys Window and Doors. He took big deposits from people, thousands and thousands, and then just didn't do the work. No windows, no doors, nothing. And the worst part? He didn't even get permits, like, he didn't even try to make it look real. And the people who paid him? They probably stood there waiting, checking their phones, thinking any day now, but nope. Nothing. And then, scoffs, he got arrested, but only because he got pulled over for something else. Like, how stupid do you have to be? And now he's out on bond, so who knows if those people ever got their money back. Probably not. And then, sigh, there's the fake cops. Not near Amara Cay Resort, exactly, but close enough. Like, imagine you're just enjoying your vacation, and suddenly some guy calls you, saying he's the sheriff, and you have to pay him in gift cards or Bitcoin or you'll go to jail. Like, what? Who falls for that? But people do, because they panic, you know? And then they're out hundreds, maybe thousands, and their trip is ruined because now they're scared and broke. And the scammer? Probably sitting somewhere laughing, eating cheap takeout with their stupid scam money. It's just, why? Why can't people just be normal? Tourists come to Amara Cay Resort, Islamorada to relax, not to get tricked out of their money. Like, is it that hard to just not scam people? Sad little laugh, guess so.